what happens when it breaks. Okay, so first thing, when it breaks. Alright, so when this breaks, I like to troubleshoot what's easiest to troubleshoot first. Okay, so we're going to go step by step through my process, my methodology, and then basically ultimately get as far as we can. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take it step by step from the easiest things to check to the more difficult things to check. So my internet connection doesn't work. First thing I check. Okay, it doesn't work on what? Is it not working on my iPhone, my Android, my computer? What? Okay. So if it's not working on your iPhone or Android, but it is working on your hardwired CPU connection, if you have one, then that tells you that you're pretty much good all the way through here, that there's an issue specifically with the wireless. Okay. So with that being the case, what I would do is I would log in to the gateway, and the gateway will have a login address. For instance, if the IP address given to your main computer CPU1 was 192.168.2.10, then most likely your network address is going to, or your gateway address is going to be 192.168.2.1. Okay, and I'm going to underline that there. Now, one thing I will say is if you've never logged into your router, practice doing so. There's a lot of configurations, a lot of special things you can do, like port forwarding, and you can set computers on DMZs depending on what you want to do. It's a little less secure, but you have a lot of options once you log into the router. So I'm not going to get into that in this video as far as how to log into your router, but you can look that up online as far as how to log in and the default user and password to get in. Because most of these gateways, routers, modems, sometimes switches provide an HTML application for you to actually make changes, which makes it really easy. So first thing I would do if my iPhone or Android stopped working is I would check another device. Okay, so if I checked another device and found that it was working, then I would troubleshoot just that particular device. If none of the Wi-Fi is working for anything that's on the Wi-Fi, I have to go straight to the source. Got to go to the gateway. It's not a problem with your service provider unless your service provider has taken the responsibility inside your house to maintain your wireless network. If that is the case, then you have to call them at this point. If that's not the case, you need to log into this router, check the status of your wireless, and if it is, say it's on and broadcasting, sometimes the modems, the gateways, the routers, they just flake up. It's electronics, it fails from time to time. Restart it. Restart the modem and the gateway, see if your Wi-Fi comes back up. Of course, everything else will go down at this point in time, but if it does, good, you've solved the issue. If it doesn't, you might need to look a little bit deeper, because it is also possible for this one link in this chain to fail and your Wi-Fi just doesn't work again. Now, when you log in there, you're going to have some options to switch between different channels. There could be broadcast interference, but typically the gateways are pretty good at resolving that. So you can get in, you can switch different channels. If that works, good, you've solved your problem. If that doesn't work, and you've gone in and you've evaluated your wireless connection, verify your password hasn't changed. One way to do that is if your Android or iPhone device says it's connected, but it cannot surf the internet, cannot find any pages, that's an issue. That means it has negotiated with your gateway, meaning that your wireless is up, but there's something internal that's failing between your wireless connection and getting out to the ISP. However, if you look at your phone and it's not connecting, try to connect, see what the error is. If you get an authentication error, then there's a possibility there's an issue with the password. Maybe something got corrupted, or possibly somebody got in there and maybe changed it. Okay, so again, when you're broadcasting your signal out, typical with Wi-Fi, there can be people that get in and cause a little bit of trouble. So verify that your password is set, and then you can reset if needed. Again, if that doesn't work and you're unable to resolve it by logging in, changing channels, checking password, then it's possible that this gateway has failed. And here's where the problem is with having all your eggs in one basket, is that if one component of it fails, you got to replace the whole thing, and these gateways are not cheap. However, if you had a separate modem and router and switch, you can just replace one of those elements and then continue on, which is going to be quite a bit cheaper. Okay, so let's say same issue, your iPhone or your Android doesn't work. None of your devices are working on the Wi-Fi. It shows that you are connected, but you can't surf. Okay, meaning that you are connected to your Wi-Fi, everything looks good, but you cannot pull up any pages, can't access any apps. All right, next up, go to your wired computer. You get on, start attempting to surf. In this scenario, we're going to say you cannot surf. All right, so you're unable to surf on CPU 1. So this is telling me I've got a bigger issue, because not only am I not able to connect on the wireless, but I cannot connect on the wired either. So I'm going to actually start looking a little bit further upstream. I myself, if I'm in that situation where nothing works, I jump all the way to the end and I look at the modem. The reason I do this is because on the modem you're going to have lights. Okay, these lights on the modem are going to tell you a few things. All right, my blue's not working too well. Let's try this one. All right, your modem is going to tell you a few things. All right, again, manufacturers vary depending on who you have. It may vary, but the general idea is this. You're going to have a, it's going to tell you what's going on with this connection, okay? And typically that's called your iNet. All right, now I don't know what symbol they want to use for that or how detailed. Sometimes it shows you upstream, sometimes it shows you downstream. If you get a really comprehensive modem, give you a lot of stats, especially when you log into it. But the lights are good. I look at my iNet, go straight to the source. It'll tell you how this connection is. It'll tell you how your Ethernet connection is. All right, and then it will also tell you, of course, your power. So we're going to assume that it's only giving you the basics: internet, Ethernet, and power, which is this side, and then of course if it has power. Most modems will give you more information than that, but we're going to say that for instance this one is not. Okay, so if it's giving you any indicator that your internet light is bad, you got to call your ISP. It's not typically a fun call, but it's one that has to be made at this point. All right. Now let's say your internet is good. All right, if your internet is good, it's saying you got a good connection, reset it. If you're dealing with entire unit gateway, restart it. There are so many things that can be resolved by just simply restarting this unit. There's so much that's going on in here, and these days with Netflix streaming and iPhones and Androids and everything that's wirelessly connected, these guys are probably one of your biggest demand telecom devices in your house. I mean, these things are moving massive amounts of data almost 24/7 it seems. So reset this. This is a computer. It does break down from time to time. Reset it. If that fails and it comes back up and says your connection to the RT is good, or to the ISP is good, and everything else is green, it's possible there could be an issue with this. I would log into it because if you're going to replace this, that's quite an expensive proposition. I would log into your gateway, look at your modem synchronization statistics, check to see what your upload download is, and then probably it'd even be worthwhile to give them a call if everything looks normal in here. However, if you get in here and you find that your speeds are really slow or that there might be something going on, you could have an intermittent trouble. That could be a cause of weather conditions outside. Maybe you notice that you get slow or no internet sometimes when it rains really heavily. These are copper cables that run out to the RT. Any type of exposure to the elements can cause them to slow down, can degrade signal. So again, look for what's simple first, and then work back from there. So again, if you got no connection at all, go to the source, look at the modem. I have both the modem and a router, so I have to look at them separately. If my modem looked good, all green lights, everything, Ethernet said it was good, then I would jump back to my router because that's my next main point. So typically if everything was good there, I'd probably find the issue with my router. I'd log into that particular device and then start my troubleshooting, which would involve basically making sure that the DHCP service is still running. One way to verify that is you can log in and see how many IP addresses it's actually handed out. You know, if it's still handing out IP addresses, it shows that it's still functional, that computers are still connected to it. Also, another thing that you can do if you're trying to isolate it is if you have a local network set up, try to connect between Android devices or from your computer to an Android device with one of those services. I have a media service in my house that does not require internet connection. It shares from my server to my home TV. If that service is working, that's telling me that my router is working. So if I have no internet at that point, then I'm going to look past that and look at the modem. With the gateway, it's not as cut and dry because it's one device. If one part of it fails, unfortunately, you have to replace it all. But outside of that, if you are fortunate and have all your devices split up, or unfortunate, depending on how you want to look at it, it does complicate things. But you can replace and look at the individual units, okay? Personally, my setup is much more complex. It jumps on power lines, goes to additional switches. I've got a 20-port hub. So, you know, it sounds more complex, but the truth is I know how it works. I set it up. So if it does break, I know where I want to look, and typically I can have no internet connections that are in my house resolved within 15 minutes. So again, like I said, you just have to be familiar with how your system works, how you've got it set up, and that'll make it a little bit easier to troubleshoot. I hope you guys found this video. I hope you guys found this video I hope you guys found this video beneficial. This has been an in-depth look at some basic troubleshooting approaches that I take with no internet connections. So if you have any questions, you can drop me a line, comments, concerns, leave it in the comment section, and we'll see you next time.